The Chief of Army Staff raises alarm over what he says are plots to destabilize Nigeria. We analyze that for you tonight. And Nigerian Governors Forum says they did not hoard COVID-19 palliatives, explaining why the palliatives being looted are still doing in some of the warehouses across the country. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Politics Today on Channels Television. I'm Sean Wakimbaloye in Lagos. The Nigerian Army says it will deal with anyone who plans to tear this nation apart, and that is the anchor point of our conversation tonight. Do stay with us, everyone. It's a must conversation that we need to look into. What does it mean, and how can we ensure that this nation stays together? But let's tell you about the explanation of the Nigerian Governors Forum and some of the warehouses for COVID-19 palliatives across several states of the Federation. Well, the forum had denied allegations that governors hoarded palliatives meant for distribution to Nigerians in order to ameliorate the sufferings during the first wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the forum, governors have held several meetings since the NSAS street protests started to address concerns of members of the public and that they identify calls for justice and an end to police brutality. The forum in the statement says, quote, the erroneous impression in the public domain that these palliatives were hoarded is not just inaccurate, entirely erroneous and untrue, but also mischievous to say the least. While some state is yet to begin distribution because they had not fully received items meant for distribution, palliatives found in warehouses in Lagos and some states were kept for the vulnerable. The NGF declared that no state is being involved in or has ordered any palliatives. Before we get into the heart of tonight's matter, who are those that could be planning to disintegrate this nation? Who are those plotting to destabilize this nation? Who are those planning to tear apart this nation? And what end could they be planning that for? That's our conversation, and I have some of the most experienced officials in terms of security in this nation to talk about that for us tonight. But first, let's check some of your political roundup stories.
Every single thing.
The Cross River State Governor, Professor Ben Ayade, has condemned in strong terms acts of vandalization and looting of private and public property carried out by aggrieved youth in the state under the guise of the End SARS protest. Expressing his shock over the perceived reasons behind what may have warranted such acts, Governor Ayade said the people of the state are not hostile and they would not want to destroy their own assets. As such, the act is unacceptable and must be halted using strict security measures.
Niger Delta remained a source of concern.
Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, has appealed to the youth of the Niger Delta to embrace dialogue in resolving grievances as the federal government implements far-reaching reforms to reposition the region for infrastructural development. The minister made the appeal when he led a delegation from the federal government to address a cross-section of youth and other stakeholders in Akwa Ibom State in the wake of the crises occasioned by the NSAS protests. In the wake of the recent spate of violence as well as the security challenges, the Enugu State Governor, Ifeanyi Egwuanyi, has had a closed-door meeting with the Deputy Inspector General of the Police in charge of the Department of ICT, as well as the Supervisory DIG of Southeast Geopolitical Zone, DIG Celestine Okoye.
We have not been able to inaugurate you.
Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki has disclosed that all hearings of the Judicial Panel of Inquiry established to look into the circumstances surrounding the NSAS protests in the state would be public and covered by electronic and print media with adequate security arrangements provided at the venue. Governor Obaseki encouraged all persons with grievances related to police brutality and extrajudicial killings to take their petitions to the panel, which has a maximum of 90 days for the exercise. The Kwara State Command of the Nigerian Police has arrested 144 suspects in connection with the looting of malls at the weekend. The Commissioner of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, while briefing journalists, says the combined efforts of the security agencies led to the arrest of the looters, most of whom were arrested the day after the looting took place.
Thank you so much, and let's get into it. It's a matter of the unity of this country. The Chief of Army Staff today, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, has raised an alarm that some elements are plotting to destabilize the country. Rampaging youths continue to loot COVID-19 palliative warehouses across the country. But the Army Chief is asking principal staff officers, general officers, commanding and field commanders to be on maximum alert in order to deal decisively with any attack on their duty locations. At a meeting with top military officers in Abuja, General Brutai says the recent activities by some unscrupulous elements show their desire to acquire arms and ammunition at all costs from security personnel. General Brutai, while charging the commanders to arrest this emerging trend, says that 10 AK-47 rifles have been lost to miscreants in the last 2 weeks across the country, with attendant loss of lives of personnel. He insists that there is no choice between democratically united, strong and prosperous Nigeria and a nation disunited in a state of anarchy and retrogression. And let's get talking about this, everyone, shall we? I have joining me from our Abuja studio to give us a sense of what this means and what we can do as a people. Very experienced security expert, a former commissioner of police, Yemi Ogunjemilusi, and a former director of Army Public Relations and consultant, Nigerian Army Resource Center, Brigadier General Sani Usman. Both of them are in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming tonight. Let me begin the conversation with the Brigadier General. And it's something that bothers the mind, isn't it? The kind of conversation when the Chief of Army Staff comes out to say there is a plot to destabilize the nation in simple and straightforward terms. What could that mean?
Definitely, I think there couldn't have been any better words than what the Chief of Army Staff has said. And if you look at the trends of events within this country for the past 2-3 weeks, you will agree with him in total, in the sense that, yes, we have had serious problems and, you know, the youth showed their anger peacefully. But somewhere along the line, some unscrupulous elements decide to hijack it. And the resultant effect is what we have now. You know, so many lives were lost, destructions of properties, and, you know, looting of not just palliatives, COVID-19 palliatives, but other public and private properties. And, you know, you begin to wonder, actually, what is the essence of it? Definitely somewhere, somehow, somebody is engineering this kind of things. They want to destabilize the country. They want to destabilize this nascent democracy. And I'm so happy. And I think we need to commend the military, particularly the Nigerian Army, for coming out boldly to unequivocally send a signal to those miscreants that, look, we don't have a better country than Nigeria, and we don't have a better system of governance than democracy, because it is all-encompassing. It has the means of, you know, stabilizing things. But we have gone to a ridiculous extent of, you know, injuring the whole segments of Nigerian society. Take, for instance, what is happening to the security agencies, particularly the Nigerian police force. Do we have spirit that will come and police our country? No. So therefore, it is, I think, about time, and I really thank him very much for, you know, coming out boldly to do that, that we should, in retrospect, look at this and, you know, learn lessons and make sure those people that are trying to destabilize the country are known and, of course, dealt with decisively.
Commissioner of Police, Ogunjemilusi, give us a sense of what you make of what has happened. What do you think happened when it looks like our security architecture fell apart? Because how can one explain the large-scale looting by angry youths and the sort of destruction of public property that we saw in the past days? Does he also give credence to what the Chief of Army Staff said, that there are people planning to destabilize this country? Could those angry youths be part of it?
Good evening, Chen, for having me. First, I'm a retired Deputy Inspector General of Police. And I would like to start by sympathizing with Nigerians who have lost their loved ones, who have lost their properties, who have their properties damaged, looted, and destroyed. I sympathize with you. On the question of whether there is sabotage against the nation, I'm not privy to national intelligence. So I wouldn't know the basis of that assertion. But what I would say is that it is important that we get it right. Because if we don't identify the cause of the problem properly, then we will not be able to get the right solution to our problems. We all know how it started as a peaceful demonstration, and they were hailed. The protesters were actually hailed by majority of Nigerians before the whole thing was allegedly hijacked by miscreants who now started looting and burning. So the question we will ask is this. Those who started the protest, did they have any legitimate concerns? If they had legitimate concerns, have those legitimate concerns been addressed? The second question that we'll now look at is, okay, assuming because of time factor, all these issues have not been addressed. And unfortunately, the gap I saw was lack of leadership on the part of protesters, which made it very difficult for government agencies, especially the police, to actually get in touch with them, negotiate with them, and resolve the crisis in a timely manner. I wouldn't say there is a breakdown in security architecture of the nation. There may be need for more synergy between the various agencies of government. And as far as I'm concerned, I think they are too numerous. There are too many. And we could start first by professionalizing or delineating the duties of everybody so that the police will know in this type of situation what exactly are we supposed to do. When does the army come in? And then the other security agencies. It's not as if one will wait for the other, but then the intelligence arm will know, the DSS will know that he is basically to gather information and intelligence and feed the Nigeria police force, while our own criminal intelligence is also doing the same thing. At the same time, the IG at his own level will be leveraging or synergizing with the chief of army staff and and his colleagues. So at the end of the day, we'll be able to find a lasting solution. But as I said, we are strong, we are a strong nation, and I also believe in democracy. I believe in democracy, but there are tenets that we should uphold so that everybody will be happy, so that there will be a sense, there is no fear. Right now, there is fear all over the place, so we need to actually reassure the citizens that the police is there for them, the government is there for them, and the military is also there for them.
We have just a few seconds before our first break on the program. And let me go back to the Brigadier General. The Operation Crocodile Smile was targeted at cyber attack on the nation. But where did something go wrong if this was targeted? And it does look like intelligence has identified this problem of destabilizing the nation ahead of time. So why did we lose it? Or how did this all now play out like this?
But have we lost it? I don't think so. You see, the issue is that, first and foremost, military exercises are meant to enhance professionalism and efficiency among the armed forces of Nigeria. And I believe all the services, they have, what do you call it, schedule of training, you know, spanning the whole year. And thankfully, I think the part of this training schedule for the Nigerian Army was exercise Crocodile Smile 6. And now if you look at it right from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now 6, they were meant to, beyond, enhancing professionalism and efficiency within the military and synergy of effort in case of internal security operations and other things, to also address some key issues that bedevil, the country, particularly when you look at the security aspect of it. Now we all know now, given the situation, globalization, and what have you, the issue of cyber warfare is real. And for the Army to have even a dedicated cyber warfare command, and I think it's good that they should exercise them. And of course,
sorry,
even
apologies
the Defense
to
Agency
cutting.
is doing a similar thing. And
sorry, apologies to cutting. We're due for a break on the program, but when we come back, I will allow you to land on that thought, and perhaps we'll look at some of the other aspects into what the Chief of Army Staff has raised today about the plot to destabilize the nation and the way forward from here. Don't go anywhere, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone. And let's get back to the conversation about what has become a very strong statement coming from the Chief of Army Staff today, that there are plots to destabilize this nation owing to the events of the past few days. I have joining me, I've been speaking with a former Deputy Inspector General of Police, Yemi Ogunjemilisi, and a former Director of Army Public Relations and consultant to the Nigerian Army Resource Center, Brigadier General Sani Usman. Both of them are sharing their thoughts and giving us a benefit of their experience on some of these issues on the table tonight. Perhaps I will allow you, Brigadier General, to land on that thought, and also in few seconds also, if you may, weigh in on this very critical matter, because the Chief of Army Staff said, and I quote him, he said, now the detractors, alongside their local and international collaborators, have mischievously and deliberately misrepresented troops' effort to ensure compliance with the curfew imposed by legitimate civil authorities in Lagos and other states. So if the Chief of the Army Staff is raising the possibility of international collaborators in the sort of scenario we are seeing, which played out, could it be an attack meant for an insurrection or an attack on the leadership or the government of this nation?
Not at all. Not at all. If you are following trends of events, you will understand actually that there are so many interested parties in the ongoing conflicts in Nigeria. And some of them are local, and of course some of them are international. You have had the unguarded utterances of some of the international personalities, governments and noted politicians worldwide, and unfortunately they premise their information based on information that is not too clear. Take for instance the issue of what happened in Lagos State. And coming back to the issue I was discussing before we went on break, I was talking about third and fourth generation warfare, given the development in information and communication technology. You know that with the touch of a button, you don't even need to amass troops. You can do a lot of damage. Therefore, for the Army to have come out with this exercise dealing exclusively with the issue of, cyber warfare and stuff like that, I think is quite commendable. And of course, it has even started yielding results to the point that I believe some of those misguided elements within the armed forces that were approached by some subversive elements. I believe you have seen certain video clips of a soldier where he was calling on people to do sort of things that are inimical to national security. Without exercise of that nature, they wouldn't have discovered within their ranks they have such persons. So I think it is good and very commendable. Now, coming back to this issue that you are just talking about now, this is not the first time. I could remember precisely, I don't know, either 2017 or 2016, I could remember the Chief of Army Staff was in Rwanda when he went to address the, students of the armed forces of that country, in their staff college. And unfortunately, we had intelligence information about some unscrupulous element within the political class, kind of lobbying the military to do unwholesome practice. I could remember we have to issue a very strong warning, and of course, both not just to those perpetrators or those people lobbying and the military itself, that we will remain apolitical. And so what happens now is in line and in continuation of that. And the armed forces are one of the credible symbol of unity in this country and source of national power. So we cannot afford anybody to toy with it, and there is no way for anybody to break rank with the military. And I think these words were quite timely, both to the military itself and, of course, those who think they can destabilize the Nigerian democracy through means that is not too clear to every one of us.
All right, let me bring the retired DIG back into the conversation. The military, we all know, has its own role, but the Nigerian police force is saddled by the Constitution to take care of internal security in the country. And so I cannot remember the last time that we have seen this kind of security situation. It's not just in few segments of the country, it's cut across major parts of the country. Several states have declared curfew. And with what we're seeing, the police will play a major role. But how will they start in a situation where the Chief of Army Staff says there is a plan to destabilize the country? Some people online are already sending a threat message out. Don't come here, don't go there. Where do you think the police should start their job?
I think that in this type of situation, we've had these type of situations before. The police is always prepared. What we are doing right now is that the Inspector General of Police had issued out orders that there should be police visibility and we should dominate the environment. And that is what the police is doing right now. When we are visible and when we dominate the environment, definitely the miscreants we know that they cannot get away with crime. Again, you have also seen that commanders have been asked to go back to their people. The Deputy Inspector Generals of Police, they have been deployed back to their zones. The Assistant Inspector Generals of Police are touring the commands under their supervision. So there is closer supervision, both from the headquarters, from the DIGs, and also the Assistant Inspector General of Police. Another thing is that we can also see that the police is also taking the bold steps of not only preventing attacks on other properties, but also recovering looted items. I'm aware that in Akwa Ibom State, the Commissioner of Police recovered a lot of items which were displayed yesterday or 2 days ago. And I also know the same thing is happening across the country. So the police is up and doing.
The question a lot of people are asking is that how did all of these people burn BRT buses in Lagos, tens of BRT buses in Lagos, burn public properties, wearing their police officers in the country when all of these are happening, looting of warehouses? What has happened? When some people say it's a breakdown of security architecture and people say, no, it is not, what do you think went wrong?
Well, that was a vacuum. There was a vacuum as at that time because there was a misinterpretation of the actions that took place. As I said, it was a peaceful demonstration, a peaceful protest that was welcomed by both the government and the people. And the instruction was that the police should not interfere. But then there was a dramatic turn on Tuesday, I think 22nd, and it took time for the police to adjust quickly. And that's what I'm telling you now. Now the police has adjusted, and we are now all over the place. As at that time, the instruction was support the peaceful protest, protect them, let them go peacefully. But by the time the news went out that there was a crisis, the police had to re-strategize and contend with the new problems at hand. And that was what happened. There was just a little gap within that period for police to adjust. Now we are back, and we are back fully on the street. And I can assure you that the spate of looting, destruction of properties and all that, they're already going down because the police are in position. I know the number of calls that I got today, and I know in Abuja here, the commissioner of police was up and doing. I called him in respect of a particular case, and immediately he dispatched his men to that place. And that forestalled any attempt to destroy that very property. So it's not a breakdown in architecture. It was just a small vacuum which has now been resolved. And I can assure you that the nation will witness tremendous police presence. They will also witness a massive, let's say, prosecution of those people that are involved. Although you should understand that the process of justice can be slow. It doesn't mean that the police is not doing their best. And you should also know that at this point that the environment is so volatile. So this is not the time that you expect police to be going from house to house to arrest people and all that. But you can see from video, from all evidences that the people that are involved in this looting and arson, so at the right time, they will be brought to justice.
DIG Yemi Ogun Jamilisi retired and the former director of Army Public Relations and consultant to the Nigerian Army Resource Center, Brigadier General Sani Usman. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming tonight and sharing your thoughts on the way forward for Nigeria. Thank you indeed. But that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Shion Kimale. Bye for now.